my name is Gabriella. I am 23 and I am here to tell you about my journey with gastric bypass surgery. I had my surgery last year, August 13th, 2013. It has officially been a year. Yay! Not only do I want to tell you about how my life has changed and the pros and cons of gastric bypass, I want to start off with what led me to making that decision and how I knew it was right for me and my journey getting there. Okay, so growing up, I had always been the taller girl, the fuller girl, and it's always been a struggle ever since I was in kindergarten. It's always been my weight. There was a point when the doctor said I would come out at 300 pounds by 18. Knowing that, my weight has always been a huge issue for me, more than just physical as well as emotional. I would do so many things to try to lose weight. I was always the last one running laps during PE, and I hated it. Everyone would be done and I'd have 2 more laps to go, and I couldn't stand the physical activity. I couldn't sit in a class confidently. Everyone would call me, you know, the fat kid, the fat girl, and everyone had these ideas that I was sitting there eating hamburgers all day, and not that my diet was even that clean, but it was far from what people thought it was or expected it to be, as far as, you know, having shakes or that typical diet people seem to be under the impression that all big people have. It wasn't until I was about 6th grade, 5th grade that I was just fed up with it. And I was the fuller by this stage. By 3rd, 4th, I was full. I wouldn't say I was fat, I was heavy, but I was thicker than the other girls. I was fuller, and so when you start hitting that age, almost junior high, and you know, your mind starts getting there, I started to feel the depression, and I would cry seeing myself in the mirror, and I couldn't take it anymore, and I wanted to do something about it. But that at that age, I didn't know what to do or how to really take control of what I was feeling and the proper avenues of it. So at that point, I had decided the best thing for me to do to lose weight was what everyone tells the fat girl to do, to stop eating. So I did. I went through a phase of not wanting to eat anything, not wanting to touch anything. And it was so hard for me because every day I was so unhappy. I'd have food in front of me, and I would stare at it with such anxiety that if I ate it, I would gain weight. If I put anything in my mouth, to the point where I knew that a piece of chewing gum had 5 calories because I wouldn't even touch it. I wouldn't chew any. I would only have water. That's all I would allow myself. But of course, with not eating comes the hair loss, comes the tired. I was always tired. I had zero energy for anything, and of course I would pull the excuse I eat a lot at home, or I ate a lot at school. And with parents' busy lives, no one really has time to really sit with you and, you know, ask how much or monitor what you're eating. By the time you're in 6th grade, 7th grade, people expect you to be old enough to monitor your own eating behaviors, and they don't check. So they would buy it, they would believe it, but they began to get scared because there came a point where I couldn't hide it anymore, that my hair was being lost, and it was a big thing for me. But I knew I couldn't keep anorexic much longer, so what I did is I just allowed myself to start eating, and I would start binge eating. I would eat and I would eat and I would eat and I would eat and I would throw it all up, because I would have this anxiety built up inside of me that I failed myself, that I gained weight, that I'm pathetic, and I would try to get myself into the inspiration and the anorexia photos and tell myself I will be that skinny, I will be better than everyone else. And I never realized how much I was really truly hurting myself, and it was hard. Every time we ate, I'd throw up. I remember one time we went to an In-N-Out and we ate, and I was panicking. I had to get rid of it, and I went to the restroom, and some lady asked me if I was okay, and I panicked she would tell my parents. So I told her, you know, oh, it's okay, I'm just sick, and she was like, oh, okay, and left. But it was never ever the right decision, and the scale did move. I did lose weight, but I was so unhappy. Those were the saddest days and years of my life. I would, in the middle of the night, I would lay in bed crying and pinching my fat. And not even to say that I got skinny, not even to say I weighed as much as the other girls at this point. I was still big because now my body was just in starvation mode. And I couldn't hide it. My hair was everywhere. I was sick. My parents didn't know how to take it. And I am a very prideful person. I've always been extremely prideful. I hate to be pitied. I hate to be looked down on. So I didn't want anybody to know what I was going through. So what happened when this finally ended, it was one day we went to my family's house for the 4th of July, and I would hide behind the story that I was vegan. And I would tell people the only reason I wasn't eating with them is because I was vegan for the sake of losing weight, so I couldn't have what they were having. So I pulled that excuse out. And I remember that day I did not want to go for the life of me, because I knew we were going to be there all day and everyone was going to be eating, and it was going to be long before people caught on how I lost the weight that I was losing. So being there, sure enough, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, everyone saying, oh, you know, you've lost so much weight, you look so good, you look thinner. And it wasn't long before they wanted me to eat lunch, they wanted me to eat dinner. We were there all day and I wouldn't touch a thing. And I had to keep explaining to them, oh, it's because I'm vegan. It's because I can't eat anything. And they had watermelon, they had fruit. I wouldn't touch it. I kept saying, oh, I'm not hungry. But I was so tired, I knocked out inside the house. And they knew something was wrong. I wasn't outside at all. And my mom was telling them, I can't get her to eat. You guys need to help me with her, please. And, you know, she lost so much weight because she's not eating. And I would tell them, she thinks I don't eat because I don't eat what she eats or what they eat. And it was this huge thing. And it came to the point where my dad said, you need to eat something, or here, right now, we're going to the hospital. I don't know what else to do. Your uncles, everyone's worried about you outside. So at that point, I went outside, I ate a piece of watermelon, and I cried my heart out because I felt like I completely failed myself and I completely let myself down. But from that day on, I slowly worked my way back into eating. I stuck at first to the vegan, just to slowly get myself back into food. And vegan was kind of fun. I ate a lot of mushrooms, a lot of vegetables, and just mostly stuck to water. And I was ready to eat at this point. I was tired of not eating, and I was tired of the headaches and not feeling well, so I wanted to eat. So I did, and it was just kind of this mess of emotion. So I had started eating as a vegan, working my way back to vegetarian until it came to the point where I was already 18, 19, and I couldn't afford this kind of lifestyle, and I just began to eat regular. By 18, 19, I had already gone back to eating for 2 years from my veganism and anorexia, bulimia. I had already been eating for 2 years normally, and the scale was moving big time. And I had this huge misconception that I can hide behind. So by this point, I had gone back to eating normal, and the scale moved big time because everything I deprived my body of, or I made a point to throw up, I was throwing it all back down. And I was heavily depressed because I was still going through. I felt like I let myself down, and me being as prideful as I am, not being able to let anyone know that or being able to voice how I was feeling, I was just playing a lot of, oh, I knew, and, you know, waving it off, and I was strong and I can get over it and get myself back to where I should be, and laughing and smiling, but struggling so bad inside. So I allowed myself to eat the pasta, the Oreos, and shot up. In my mom's attempts to help me, she did hire me a personal trainer. The worst thing that ever happened, though, is that her and I made very good friends, and she was engaged, so the whole time we would go, she would talk, she would laugh, and we never really got a workout in. I would work out, and she would have me doing things while she's talking to me, but the whole time it was more trying to kick it off instead of getting that full workout. But I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to tell her. We were friends. So I did do my workout, and aside from spending time with her, I would try to run and get myself physically active and to try to make up for how I was feeling. And I guess try to change that addiction from not eating to the gym and work out a lot. And I had a dietitian who I did meet with only once or twice and try to give me some advice on how I should be eating and what to do, but the scale wasn't moving. And by 18, 19, the scale read 250 pounds. That is the biggest I have ever been in my life, and that was a hard point to be. 250 pounds, 19. I felt like I was supposed to be out shopping and wearing cute clothes, and we're having all the cute, enjoying my girl time. Every time my friends would go to the mall, and I wouldn't be able to try anything on, or I would try to get excuses to not go with them because I knew it meant trying on clothes, buying clothes, and I couldn't remember a point in my life that I ever wore junior size. It seems I had always worn misses. I have always worn women's clothes. I never got to look cute in a hoodie or anything like that. I remember at that time the only store I would really shop at was Mervyn's because they had a Juniors Plus department. But And I was embarrassed. I didn't want my friends to know I had to wear plus sizes, or I would just act like nothing was cute or nothing appealed to me, when in truth it's because I knew I wouldn't fit it. But at this point I was working, I had a job, and I was pushing myself forward and not focusing so much on my weight or where I was, and learning to be happy and learning to be content with that girl in the mirror, learning to love myself, learning how to shop for myself. I had to learn, because during the years of my depression, I hid in black hoodies every day. I had this idea that if the bigger the clothes, people wouldn't notice. The harder the exterior, people wouldn't really, people would just stay away. People wouldn't bother me. People wouldn't judge. People wouldn't see me. I'd have this invisible, I had the straight hair, straight bangs, thinking no one would see me, and I could hide. It was far from the truth, because either way, people see you. They see you how you want to be seen. And I realized that, and I started to buy pretty clothes, not with friends, but on my own. Things that I liked, things that I felt pretty in. And I had a pretty collection of clothes, and I had a story for each of my dresses of when I fell in love with them and how confident I felt. And I started getting so many compliments, how cute I looked and how pretty I looked. But even though I learned to be content with who I was, my heart, my health was screaming, because I started to work. And I worked at a retail store, so I would have to walk around all day and be on my feet all day. And I strained my feet with plantar fasciitis. I began to have heart stress problems and develop an irregular heartbeat due to weight. A lot of breathing stress problems. Just, it came to the point where at this point too, I was going to college and I was running every day. And I was running home, and I would purposely leave no change for the bus, so I would have to walk home to make myself do it. But I was tired getting up, and the doctor told me, you can't run, you're going to blow out your knees. You can't, you're at a heavy point right now. And I remember going home and laying in my bed and feeling like I am going to be immobile. If I don't do something, I'm going to not be able to move anymore. I'm 20, I'm 21, and I want my life, I want my future. Because at 20, 21, friends, we would go to the amusement park, and I remember standing in line with them and watching everyone get on the ride, and I would look for the biggest person in line and wait for them to get on. And if they had a hard time, so I would purposely wait to see the biggest person in that line go on the ride. And if I saw them struggle at all, or them tell them anything, I would automatically just act like I was scared to go on the ride. So when it got to my turn to be up there, I would just not get on. And it was things like that I was done with, and I was done with feeling, and I was done with struggling with. And the thing is, my family had mentioned the surgery to me before, and you see the surgery a lot now on channels like Discovery Health, or there's a lot of different people who promote it, and celebrities who've done it. But me and my pride always wanted to be able to say I did this by myself. I did this without any gimmicks, without any, big commercial diets. I had the determination and the willpower to work out and to get myself there. But lying there in bed, looking at my health record, feeling like I wasn't going to move again, I was done. And I remember the day I sat in the doctor's office, and I mentioned to her that I was interested, and what did she think? And she told me she was for it, because she knew my struggle. She knew I tried. And it had been a long, stressful journey for me. So from there, I went home and I did my research. I looked at the different options of different surgeries, from the lap band to the sleeve to the bypass, to really decide if it was for me, if it was something I was going to commit to, and the ins and outs and pros and cons of it. And even though it's a high-risk surgery, and I wanted to do it, and I was going to do it, but I wasn't excited about doing it. I didn't have, I told my coworkers, I told people, but I wasn't super excited, because I almost felt like I gave up, and I had nothing to be proud of, and I didn't do my measurements, and I didn't do because I thought it's going to come off and I have nothing to be proud of. And part of me still struggled, because I would tell people, this is what I'm going to do. And the same people who would tell me do something about it would tell me, oh, you're so young, and why, and just change your diet and do this. From my grandparents to family members saying, this is extreme. You don't eat this. You're not 400 pounds. You're not the 500 pounds. You're too young for something like this. You just don't, you want the easy way out. And I heard the easy way out so many times that I almost had a sense of guilt and shame that I was doing this. But I went to one of my appointments to do one of the group appointments where you have to sit down and you hear stories from people who've done it and what they think, just so you kind of know what you're in for. Sitting there, I saw so many people a lot larger than me, a lot older than me, and I believe I was the youngest one in that room at 22, and that confirmed it. It confirmed it, and it assured me, because I felt I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait till I was 40 and I was medically having to do this, or I was going to die. I didn't want to wait till I was 50 and most of my life had passed and I was doing this for the sake of my grandkids, or I wanted to do something for me. I didn't want to wait that far. I saw so many people sitting there and they were talking about why they were doing it, and their health record was just shot, and they had way more difficulties beyond just getting out of, beyond the foot pains I was having or the knee pains I was having. They were having problems just getting out of bed every morning. And I knew from that day on, I was going to do this. I was going to commit to this, and I was going to do a change. And some parents told me in that room, I wish my child would do it, but my child is ashamed of doing the surgery. My child feels he's too young to undergo something this big, and I didn't want to wait anymore. I didn't want to wait to take control of my life and have that change I've wanted to have my whole life. So I did. I agreed to do it, and I was excited, and I was sold on it, and I had fun despite the critics. People told me, oh, all you have to do is diet, all you have to do. But these were coming from people that were not much different in weight than I was, who have struggled with it their whole life. And if it were that easy, I mean, yes, perhaps I shouldn't have done everything that I've done. Perhaps I shouldn't have ate, and I shouldn't have got through some extremes, but this was a lifelong struggle. And I have to take control of my life. I have to do something for it. And you should never, ever, ever, ever allow anyone to make you feel guilty for something that you've decided to do for you. So August 13th was the day I went into surgery at 2:50. I was excited, I was nervous, I was anxious, but still not up for doing my measurements, which is why I'm sorry I don't have the measurements for you today to show you exactly how many inches I went down. But definitely I do have a video prior to this showing my before and after pictures, because those are always exciting. They get me really excited to see where I was, where I came. And I'm excited to meet you guys, and I want to hear your stories, and I want to answer your questions. I do want to answer your questions about the process of what they ask you, psychiatric portion of it, anything you might have, the struggles, the pros, the cons. This is just to tell you why I decided to do it and my struggle. And definitely, it is no easy way out, guys. There is no such thing as an easy way out. I have people who approach me now that I've lost so much weight and tell me, oh, you've lost so much weight, it's so easy, heck, I'm going to do it. And the moment we start explaining how dedicated of a lifestyle you have to live to stay on a 3 times a day diet, to cook for yourself, to just all the ins and outs of it, admit to they're not ready to do it. And they just can't go there. So definitely, I would love to answer your questions. I'd love to help you. One of the biggest things for me is, there's just so much I want to share with you guys. I just can't wait. Definitely, I'll share my nutrition that I've changed. I'll share with you guys little things that I've bought to help me to prep for my surgery, and things that maybe I've wished I've had after surgery, as well as my workout routine, because now I'm in the gym and I have a proper trainer and I have so much fun, and just answer a lot of your questions there. I love you guys. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for viewing, and just comment or like below, and my email is there. Thank you guys.